Tonight's guest, very exciting. We're joined by Novation. World famous UK brand Novation produce pro audio and music equipment such as MIDI controllers, synthesizers, drum machines, and they have a wide range of product offerings catering to both professional and amateur musicians, DJs, and producers. Ever since the release of the iconic bass station back in 1993, they have helped shape the sound of electronic music, maybe even music culture itself. Novation have been on a mission to help artists sculpt and perform sound to help electronic music makers lose themselves on an endless journey of music making. So tonight we welcome special guest Alex Godfrey, who is one of Novation's leading product specialists, who will be deep diving into a range of ideas and techniques to combine creativity, functionality, and workflow to get the most out of your MIDI controllers. Alex, are you there?
Hey Rob, yep, here I am. How you doing? You all right?
Yeah, very well, thank you. How are you doing?
Yeah, great, thank you. Yeah, all good, all good. Excited to get into it.
Good. Well, it's glad to have you on. I believe we had this scheduled for the sort of latter half of last year, and a few things came up and we couldn't quite get it over the line. But so it's great to have you on now. As I said before, it's our 40th anniversary, so we'll be doing a lot of exciting things starting with this webinar tonight. Thank you. And of course, you had a big birthday last year with Novation. 30 years, was it?
That's right. Yeah, we've been doing 30 years of Novation last year. So yeah, a lot achieved in that time. Loads of products, loads of different directions. It's it's been wild.
Yeah, excellent. I imagine you had lots of events and things running for that.
Yeah, we did a few fun events and campaigns around it. We did chatting earlier about one we were doing up in Scotland, where we kind of just got a synth mega rig and a few classic pieces of equipment as well. Pulled out the old drum station, the rack bass station. Yeah, it was good fun.
Great. Well, before I hand over and get into it, just a reminder to everyone, as always, we will be having a special giveaway at the end of the webinar, as well as running a promotion. We can't tell you about it now. So just make sure you stick around to the end and we'll have all that coming up. But without any further ado, Alex, I'll just hand over to you and I'll see you in a little while.
It's exciting stuff. Thank you very much, Rob. Cheers. Righto. Okay. So thanks for joining us. There's the sort of focus that we're looking at today is MIDI controllers to make music. We make a lot of MIDI controllers, and there's three in particular which I'd like to focus on today. Let me just put up the screen so we can see what we're looking at. So that'll be predominantly our launch pad, the launch key, and the FL key, which is our most recent iteration of that. The launch pad, which we'll start with here. This is a sort of grid-based MIDI controller. It's currently jazzing away in Vegas mode there. Just to explain on a high level what they all have in common, MIDI controllers, for those who don't already know, are just dedicated bits of hardware for controlling musical software via MIDI. MIDI being the language that these devices use to send signals to them. So apologies if that's like too high level for some of the audience, but just to make sure we're all on the same page to start with, these are basically three controllers that you can use. They don't internally themselves, they don't generate any sound, but what they do is they give instructions and control devices that do create sound. For instance, a digital audio workstation, a DAW like Ableton or Logic or Reason or FL Studio, or indeed hardware synthesizers and sound modules as well, which we'll be getting into a little bit too. Without further ado, I will just get into this exciting piece of equipment that we've got in front of us here, and we'll start getting some sounds out of it pretty quickly. As that's what we're all about. Okay, so this is the Launchpad. This is the Launchpad Pro model. There's three Launchpads in the range. So there's the Launchpad Mini, which is like, as you might expect, a smaller version. The Launchpad X, which is the full feature set, like somewhere in the middle. And then there's this Launchpad Pro version, which has got like a sequencer built in, so you can build like, you can actually write like programs of music to send to other sound modules. Yeah, and so that's the range. We're kind of jumping into the deep end here with the Pro model, but as we go through, we can explore what the difference is between them as well. So just to start with, we'll have a look at what it could do with controlling Ableton, I think. As I said, this is for not just Ableton. This is a controller that's kind of agnostic. It can work with Logic, Reason, FL, that kind of thing. But yeah, I've just chosen Ableton for the purposes of this, probably just because it's one that I'm more familiar with personally. So yeah, let's have a look at that to start with. This is the session view of a Launchpad. What we're looking at on the screen in the background, that's Ableton. For those who haven't used Ableton, all you really need to know at this point is that we've got a few different instruments. They make different sounds. We've got the got a drum kit up here on the left. Nice synth track on the middle here. In fact, just a load of synth tracks, and at the end here, we've actually got hardware synthesizer plugged in and going as well. Typically, I guess when using a DAW, as I'm assuming most people on the call here will be aware, you're using a mouse and keyboard to get around. The design of these devices is to sort of get away from using a mouse and keyboard. I'll throw myself in there for a minute. I'm gesticulating quite a bit. The design of these things is to try and get away from using a mouse and keyboard, looking a little bit less at the screen and kind of just having what feels more like an instrument to use. That way, you kind of feel a bit more like you're playing an instrument than if you're just clicking and tapping things in, like you're at work. A lot of our life is on screens now, right? So it's all works on screens to a degree. Your social life's on screens. So in terms of physicality, there's not much difference if you're pointing and clicking to write music than when you're working. So it's quite nice sometimes just to have a piece of equipment to bring you out of the box a little bit and just make you feel like you're playing an instrument. If you're playing what feels like an instrument as well, is often you're going to play better because kind of you're a part of the instrument, right? So it's kind of reciprocal. Anyway, that's a roundabout way of saying that this is designed predominantly to control the software we're looking at here. We'll have a look at how it does that. So at the bottom, we've got these different controls. Now, I'm not sure how well we can see. We just zoom in on that alone for a second. Got different options for what we can do with these tracks, which I just highlighted earlier. We can mute tracks. Oh no, I accidentally hit the wrong track there. I do apologize. We'll come back to that. We can clear accidents as well easily enough. We can solo bits and pieces, and we can set volumes. So I guess to start with, I'm just going to start by recording in a little clip in Ableton. This is currently. Well, have I just muted something? Here we go. This is good. 1 second, apologies. Okay, so just so we can start demoing actually the session itself a little bit more. We've got a range of ways of recording into Ableton here. But yeah, we can kind of control the session from the device and also record into it as well, and say your levels, say your panning, your sends, that kind of thing. Let me try and no, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and show you a little bit more about how we can get a really nice sound out of the devices there as well. And I've just realised we're playing in the device, so apologies. Right, let me start that again. So before we go too deep into session control, let's get some sounds out of it. This is a note view here, so we can kind of play in. We can control the synth that's kind of chromatically. The ones that are highlighted are in just like a C minor scale, I think. This can be a bit of a strange interface to get used to. But yeah, to compensate for that, it gives you full control, but to kind of get into a more of a natural flow and easier to hit more melodic things, there's also a chord view. This chord view, this is really, really nice. So effectively what this does is kind of fits... so there's no wrong notes on this page, right? Which is which is quite nice. What we're looking at here is a ton of notes in I think in this case it's a C minor scale. And it's really easy to play triads and chords on this page as well. So. So these are all like aligned really nicely. So you don't have to have an awful lot of music theory before you can just start feeling your way around and finding really nice combinations. That's what these all are. These are just notes all within the scale. And then this orange range here, these are triads chords within that scale. And again, you don't have to have an awful lot of music theory to start getting what that's just sort of like understanding what sounds good and what you like the sound of. So let's hear that in action a little bit. I can see we're getting a little bit of clipping in Ableton. So actually, I can go back across and you can see I'm clipping when I press too hard. If I go across to the session view, press the volume, and then this is like faders controlling the session, which is quite nice. So I can turn the volume up and down a bit. So we were getting a bit of clipping there. Let's try that again. That's a little bit too quiet, so we can bring it back in. We can start playing around with the volume using this device as well. What's really nice here in this view as well is we can like set the volume to rise and fall slowly or quickly depending on the velocity at which we set the volume. I wanted to get to full volume slowly. I just press kind of softly and you can see the green fader rising. And if I wanted to get quiet really quickly, just kind of tap it and it'll fall away there. Yes, anyway, back to the chord view. That's a bunch of triads there, which kind of allow us just to like float around the all the notes in our key there. And then on the right here, we've got a chord bank, so we could like get a chord that we like and then bank it, meaning we can record it any time. So. And then kind of just fall between them. We can also like hold and add chords as well with this button. So it's like a sustain button there. So we've got a few chords banked. And we can find our way around really nicely. So it's quite easy to start generating ideas using this, and getting some no wrong answers coming out of it. So that's the chord view. You can also have this set up as a completely customized device. So what we're looking at here is I'll come back to that in a second. This is a custom view. So we've got 64 pads here, and they will light up and send whatever message we want them to when we're in a custom view. So what we've got at the moment is this grid down here. This is controlling a drum machine in Ableton. And then across the top here, we've got a chromatic keyboard. which is actually controlling a Bass Station 2 from Novation. That's just out of sight under the desk, unfortunately. But this is a custom view which we've set up using our beautiful component software, which you'll be able to see if I get that out of the way there for a second. You can see that's just that's as easy as this dragging and dropping where you want the LEDs to appear, and then you send that to the device, and that's what we're working with here. So we've got this custom page set up, which how do I get back there? Oh, it's this. Yeah, too many screens here. So we can set up the device to kind of do whatever we want it to. So we can do we've got drums on the bottom here. We've got the bass station across the top. I've also got 4 different presets for the bass station, which are program change messages for any MIDI enthusiasts. What that's done is just reprogram the synth basically to a different preset. This is what we were on, and then we've got all different sounds from it as well. We can also change the parameters of the synth on this page as well. So I've got this fader across the top here, which is going to control the distortion. And again, we can get that fading in slowly or quickly, depending on how hard we press those pads. This is a glide amount as well. That's what that green one is. That's just changing the glide amount on that synth. All the while, you've got access to the drums in the bottom corner there. So if you wanted to get into it real quick, that's all set up for you. And that's kind of really the imagination is the limit with these controllers, because when it's customizable, obviously you can take it wherever you want. Okay, so that's kind of just to show some of the potential of what you kind of does whatever you want it to do, but initially it's all set up so you can control your sessions however you like. Really, really, really cool thing on the Launchpad Pro in particular is the sequencer on it, which I'll just show you a quick look at here. This is basically you kind of program in what you want each track to do and when, and then it will just kind of do exactly what you tell it to. Let's get a drum track down, get a kick, put that here and here. See how that sounds, and when I press play, there'll be a white playhead moving across, and that'll trigger these notes. So when it goes across, let's hear that. Let's put in a clap, or a snare there. We'll put in a hat as well. Gonna get another kick there as well, because that's sounding a bit out at the moment. Yes, that's the sound we want. I'll pop those there as well. Okay, so hopefully that's clear. What I'm doing here is I've got these different drum sounds at the bottom, and just placing them across the sequencer across the top. So when I press play, then we get a beat playing back for us. We can do loads more with the sort of control on the sequencer. We've got pattern settings here, so we can set the length to be like just 8 steps across. Change the start length of that. So We change the start and length point of that sequence. We get some really interesting results out of that. We can change it to be different playback speeds as well. So it could go half the speed or twice as fast. Get really Apex Twinny about it. All the while still having access to these sounds at the bottom left. Also, we can control the velocity of the hits from here as well. Sort of humanize it a little bit. In fact, let's just put in some notes. I'm just going to put in a hi-hat on these last four here, and then just change the velocity of those so we can hear that in action. That's the velocity across the bottom there, by the way, in case my arm's in the way. This sort of yellow strip here. So that's a low velocity. This would be a higher velocity. And so now we should hear that kind of creeping in terms of velocity. There you go. That's velocity setting. There's really, really, really cool features on this to do with like probability and mutation as well. I'll just quickly run into those, conscious of time. So just on a blank on a blank project here from scratch, real quick. If I just put like a one kick down, and I make this pattern really, really short. So it's just a 4-step pattern now. I can change the probability that step will be triggered when the playhead passes it. This is really, really fun for sort of like generating inspiration. Because of getting inspired by the device and getting surprises and happy accidents from it. Again, if I hold that, or if I just select that step, I get probability across the bottom. At the moment, that's maximum probability, meaning is 100% likely to trigger every time the playhead goes past. Let's put it at 50% and we'll hear it, not always trigger. Otherwise, you'd about to stitch me up there. What are the chances it triggers like 8 times in a row? No, that's 50%. That's what happens when you roll the dice, I guess. We're live. So this is that's probability per step. Another really, really cool feature is mutation. Mutation basically means if I just put I'm just going to put these hi-hats here. So now we've got. Let me just go back. So now I've got B that goes. We could change the likelihood that one of those steps will randomly switch to a different note entirely, or a different sound entirely. So just with that last step held, I'm going to. What have I done there? Yeah, I'm just going to press that last step and then change the mutation from like not at all likely to happen to very likely to happen. So basically, every time that note triggers, it'll just mutate into something completely different. And if we start doing that a lot with all of the notes, we'll just kind of get a different beat every time. But the kick will be the same each time because we haven't put any mutation on that. So that can be really, really fun with like a longer pattern to go back to what we were just on. Oh, no, that was not what we were just on. But with a longer pattern to kind of just generate fills kind of randomly, whatever we want. You can also do like micro steps on here, so like ratchets and get really fun resolution out of it. It's not just for drums as well. You know, we've got exactly the same things available for the synth sounds. Here's one I made earlier. Okay, so that's the sequencer is now controlling a synth, and we can control all various different aspects of the synth as well. We haven't got time to go into all of it, but it's pretty wild. So that synth sound itself is going to have like filters and various internal like pitching elements, which my face is currently blocking on the screen. We could change all of those from the device as well. We can also use this opportunity to demo some of those features I mentioned earlier as well a bit better. So let's get that playing and bring the volume up of that synth sound. Maybe pan it to the left a bit. Oh, what? Where did it go? Oh, I don't sound like that. Pan the drums to the right. If you're listening in stereo, you'll enjoy that. Add a bit of reverb on as well. Delay. So yeah, that's why I'm going to stop the Launchpad before we get too far off the deep end there. But yes, there's really, really powerful tools from it. You can sequence things from there. You can control various different aspects of the DAW, yeah, get really nice chord bank sounds off of there. Improvise over the top, and go wild. In the interest, oh, okay, no, we're right there. Yeah, so I think that was the bulk of what I was planning to go over there. Yeah, so much more you can do with this, but suffice to say, yeah, I mean the idea being you can kind of get away from the mouse and keyboard approach, really start like playing it like an instrument. If you're a fan of finger drumming, and yeah, also just kind of like getting ideas back from the device, then yeah, then it's really, really fun tool. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty more I could say about that, but I think I shall park that there for now. I'm just going to change over now to the launch key. While I'm doing that, I don't know if Rob, you want to take over for a second. I don't know if we've got any comments or questions to look at. But yeah, that's it from the launch pad. Next, I'm just going to have to switch over to the launch key real quick, and we'll have a little look at that.
Great. So yeah, I'll just step in here and allow you a few moments to get everything together. Quite often these webinars, it's sort of things that make a lot of sense to me, where, to be honest, this is not my realm of music production. So for me, this is quite an interesting one to sort of try dip my toes into this arena. So yeah, I think we're all very lucky to be able to have a bit of a hands-on demo here today. Just before we go any further, it would be good to get a bit of a gauge of who's using these at the moment, and how we're using them. So who uses a MIDI controller, or specifically a Novation MIDI controller? Is it an integral part of your workflow? Are you only using them sometimes, or do you not use them at all? It would be good just get a bit of an idea, and of course help Alex with the questions. And of course, if you've got any questions, or you want Alex to go back over anything, just make sure you pipe up, and we'll keep them all aside to the end. A little reminder at the end, we will be giving away a very special product, but we won't tell you what it is yet. But alongside that, we will be running an in-house promotion across a whole range of our products. So you can save on studio desks, keyboard stands, cases, laptop stands, sort of all Trojan products with 20% off our brand Trojan Pro using the code Trojan20. That was like a little ad break on the program when you're trying to enjoy yourself and trying to sell you something. But so I'll hand back over to Alex now, and I'll see you in a little while.
Nice one. Cheers, Rob. Cool. Okay. So whilst I was out there, I was just switching over now to the launch key. This is another MIDI controller that we work with. It's probably a bit more of a conventional looking, familiar instrument looking MIDI controller. I'll just make sure that's in frame all right. Yeah, that looks all right here, doesn't it? Yeah, okay, cool. So what we're looking at here, this is 37 keys. It just looks like a keyboard, right? Doesn't it? That's because predominantly that's what it is, but it's capable of much more. You've got 37 keys across the bottom. Really good form factor. I really, really like that because you can get like 3 octaves in there, and you've got the pitch and chord wheel up here, but it really doesn't take up an awful lot of space for how much it can do, which is great. And let me just check. I've got I think so. Yeah. So it doesn't take up an awful lot of space, which is great. yeah, just reading that, working all right. Yeah, so I mean, the main thing that we do with this is obviously play keys, right? It's got a really nice key bed for just kind of working stuff out on and performing with. But you've also got all these pads and pots and various buttons at the top, which can control the software that you're working with. Now, again, I'm going to stick with Ableton just for the sake of familiarity and ease of demonstration here. But it's already comes like set up ready to go with like Cubase, Reason, Pro Tools, all that kind of thing, and also FL Studio. Although we'll have a look at that in a bit more detail next. Yeah, so that's kind of what's going on here, right? Really nice key bed, and yeah, and then like a bunch of controls for whatever software you're working with. Yeah, we're going to start working with the same sort of set of sounds. So we'll pull back to Ableton now, yeah, let's just kind of dive in. First of all, yeah, this is nice and easy to get around the tracks at Ableton. So yeah, we've got our kit here. I've not set those drums to be in the channel I want to be on. That'll be channel 1. Oh, that's coming through on channel 2. That's interesting. Well, we'll move the mountain. I'll figure that out. And that drum's still got loads of delay and reverb on it from our last demo. So yeah, we've got like a nice pads across the top. They can, similar to the launch pad, kind of do whatever you want them to. But of course, they come preloaded with a bunch of modes to make life easier and control various aspects that we predict that you'd want to control the most. So yeah, you can play drums on them. If you're a bit more of a talented finger drummer than I, you can also like program custom modes into these as well, yeah, you can also control the session from there as well. So let's just work on right. I'm gonna have to do a bit of patching on the MIDI side to make sure that the right signals are sent to the right places. I sort of overcomplicated this before I came. I'm realizing now, so let's just get that working. Keys are also coming on too. Okay. Okay. So yeah, so on the pads across the top now, we've got control over the session in the same way that we saw on the launch pad. I can mute, I can solo things. Yep. So I could like control like just hearing one thing at a time. This is kind of handy if you like producing in the typical sense as well. If you just want to use it like a mixing desk, these pots across the top, they can control the volume of each track. You can kind of see on the screen there. These are moving the controls, and again, this is like as soon as you plug it in, it's set up like this. Like the scripts are baked into the software, whether it be Ableton or FL, etc. That as soon as you plug in, it starts controlling those DAWs, that software. You can also control your pan and your sends from here with the pots, similar to the demo I just did there. So I'm actually going to take the insane 80s snare reverb out, and we'll leave that there. So that's what the pots are doing, and the pots can also be customized to send out whatever messages suit your setup most as well. That's most of the capability of the pots at the top. Oh, of course, yeah, they can also control the device that we're working with as well. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this analog synth. See if we can get. Oh, we need to unmute that. Excuse me, I was demoing the mute there. So now what we've got is the pots across the top. I'm going to get them to control the device. See where we go with this. The screen on here is going to let us know how well that comes across on the camera there. But the screen lets us know what aspect of the device we're controlling. If I move my screen out of the way there, then we'll be able to see on the device what we're controlling. So yeah. Ooh. Oh yeah, just mute that while I'm figuring that out. That's currently retuning the first oscillator. Let's find the amplifier there. Changing the octave of that particular device as well. Throwing in some overtones as well from the second oscillator. So the point being, I'm trying to demo there is that the pop controls across the top, they'll be automatically mapped to various parameters on whatever device you're controlling, whether it be like a drum machine in your DAW or a synthesizer or something like that. Kind of smart mapped on there. Something really, really fun about we've also got sort of transport controls across the right here as well, so you can like stop, start, record, quantize your sessions. You can like get the click track in and out as well, so you can sort of start building stuff from scratch really easily. There is a capture MIDI button as well. This one here, that's really, really cool. That basically kind of it's been keeping a log of everything that you're playing for the last like 5 minutes. If you sort of got the perfect take but it wasn't recording, you can press capture MIDI and it will have remembered that buffer and then just print it out to your session, which is really, really handy because sometimes too many times you get the best takes when nothing's being recorded. So that's really handy. Let's have a look at some more of the sort of keyboard features here as well. Have we got a nice sound still working for us? It's a bit. Yeah, that's good. Okay. So there's a couple of more things we could do with the key controller itself. If I go to scale chord here on the pads, and just make sure these are controlling the right channel as well. Yeah. Cool. So what these scale chords do on the pads now is we've got triads, similar to what we were looking at on the launch pad there, where it just kind of like does some of the theory for us and sets up a bunch of triads. These at the moment are just basic triads in our chosen scale, and then as we go down, we get more complex chords. So these are like sevens. So this will be like C minor triads. These are sevens. I realized demoing with quite a lot of overtones from the oscillator. So from the way that the device is now set up. So it's going to be very, very jazzy. But the point being here that we've got basic triads and then increasing complexity as we page down. So that's just a triad. That's just a that's a 7. We've got 9s. And then 6 9s as well. So we can get really, really jazzy and play over the top. Then just like get into it with the keys as well. So that's something we do with the scale chords in there. We can also set the keys to be in a set scale as well. We'll have a look at that just after this. We can also put user chords into here as well. So these pads are now controlling. These pads are now going to store chords that we put in there. So let's get some chords that we like. Sorry. And maybe this chord. Then we can switch between chords that we've banked in there. So other chords we banked earlier. Yeah, so we can start building things up in there. To help with the chord situation as well, we can use fixed chord. What this does basically gives us, we sort of enter one chord whilst it's held. And when we just press one key now, it'll play that chord from that as the root node. Yeah, so that's the fixed chord working there. One thing that's really, really fun to use this for is the scale mode. So I'm just going to see if I can reset the that jazziness is throwing me off. That's too much. Cool. Okay, so yeah, we've reset that oscillator patch, synth patch a little bit now, and yeah, this is scale mode. So yeah, if you're a bit patchy on the theory or keys isn't really like an interface that you're used to, we can turn scale mode on here. This means we can't hit a wrong note. So at the moment we've got a chromatic keyboard, right? Pull that delay down for a second. Yes, and then if we put scale mode on, we can't hit a wrong note. So, which kind of means you can just jazz around, particularly if you've got the scale chords set up here. And just for reference, what that would sounded like without the scale mode on, not exactly what I played there, but it sounded very wrong. I won't go too far with that, but you get the picture. Scale mode can stop you from pressing any wrong notes. It's also really fun for just like experimenting with different keys and different modes as well. So we could take like a sad song. And put that in a major key with an F root note. So that's what we're doing here. We're selecting our mode or key, and then yeah, the keys. Sorry, we're selecting the keys. Yeah, and then play the same thing and make it happy. In the words of John Lennon, take a sad song and make it better. So that's good fun. Yeah, we could do all sorts as well. We could hear that in things I wouldn't know how to play without a scale assist. So let's hear that in F Phrygian. Maybe there's a reason they didn't write that in a Phrygian key. But there we go. Also with a launch pad, with a launch key, it wouldn't be a key controller without having a really fun arpeggiator on it as well. This just basically means we hold down a chord and the arpeggiator will go through each note held in sequence and yeah, put out some really interesting sounds. So yeah, what have we got? We can latch that, and if we hold the arpeggiator, we can control all the different parameters of it. So let's change the direction. At the moment, it's going up. We can make it go down, up and down. Get the picture, or in random directions, which is my personal favorite. If I go back to that, page. I can also, change the amount of octaves that we're covering as well. So let's get 3 octaves across that we'll be covering. Put that in a random direction. Change the rate. That randomness is a bit hard to hear what's going on. So there we go. And we also change the rhythm of it as well. So we start putting some rests in there. give it a bit of swing. One thing we do on this arpeggiator, similar to what we saw in the sequencer as well, is we can get it to mutate. We'll talk about chord in a bit as well. We can get it to mutate, so that's probably best to demonstrate with just one note. Mutate, as we increase the amount of mutate, which is printed on this key up here, the increases the likelihood that it'll change the note when it's re-triggered to be like not the note that we put in, and as the mutate setting is lower, it'll be more typical, more harmonic note choices, like a fifth or an octave. And then as we increase the mutate value, we'll start getting really interesting harmonics, so like sevens and nines and even seconds as we go far enough. So I'll just demonstrate that with one octave. So it's just the same note playing. And I'm just going to increase the mutate amount. So at the moment we're just hearing fifths. Getting some thirds now. Now we're going to get some weirder ones. Getting some jazzy notes in there now. Okay. Let's reel in that mutation a little bit. So that's that. We can also use the similar sort of effect on the rhythm as well. So if we use something called deviate, effectively as the deviate parameter is increased, the more likelihood that a step is sort of just missed. So instead of triggering every single step, it'll probably not play some of them. So let's hear that in action. And now again, this is quite random, so kind of starts throwing ideas back at us, which is all types of fun. And what you would have seen me doing there is latching the arpeggiator on and off as well. I mean, it's also really fun to use arpeggiators with the scale mode as well. So let's just do a major. Do like a minor key. Let's get adventurous. Let's do a Mixolydian arpeggiator demonstration. So now we're only going to be playing in F Mixolydian. It won't play anything else, any chords out, any notes out of that, and we've got an arpeggiator running over the top as well. So kind of see what happens with that. Now I forgot we had mutate running and deviate as well. So what the arpeggiator was putting out was really on a mind of its own there, but still within the restraints of that scale. Just before we move on as well, just zoom out again in terms of like session control of the software that we're using. You've got access to control all the the pans, the sends, and things that we were talking about as well. But it's really easy just to track between which track we're using here, just like get things moving that way. Of course, we've got pitch bend as well, which is every keyboard needs that in there. I think that's it. Just to stay on top. Oh yeah, we're running short on time. I'm just going to quickly change over to a new variant of the launch key which we put out recently. I'll talk a little bit more about that. Rob, if I may, I'll just hand back over to you real quick, and just change over here. What's going on? Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks again. I'll just do a little segue off of that. As you'll swap into the FL key, it's a good opportunity for us to just find out what DAWs people are using. Do they have any preferences? Oh, my camera's gone off there, but don't worry. What DAWs people are using and how they're using them in what sort of way. It'd be good just to know for our sort of audience, and help Alex as well with the questions afterwards. And as we said before, if you've got any questions, please make sure you put them in the chat. We've got quite a few, and we are running a little bit short on time, but we'll get through as many as we can, and we'll do what we can to make sure that we get them to Alex, if not after the webinar. All right.
Okay. Thanks, Rob. Is that back over to me? That. Yeah, I'll take that as a yes. Hello. Okay, so let me just pull this up on the right screen. What we are looking at here is latest variant of the launch key 37 that we just looked at before. This is basically the same hardware, but yeah, as you'll know, it's quite a bit different on the top layer here, and it's got a lot of under the hood integration with FL Studio. So for any users of FL Studio, this is a really ideal MIDI controller. Even for anyone who's not yet using FL Studio but is interested, this comes bundled with a version of FL. So it's a really, really great starting point, for getting into FL Studio. The sort of premise behind it is that it's really the only piece of it's really the only keyboard MIDI controller that's dedicated for use with FL Studio. We work very closely with the FL developers to make it really tightly integrated, and and again, the kind of ethos behind it is that you can start getting away from using a mouse and keyboard altogether, and using just focusing on what looks like an instrument and feels like an instrument in front of you. So very briefly, because we're running short on time, I will just put up this. Let you see what I'm seeing. That looks good. So there's a bunch of different ways to get your tracks going on FL using the FL key. Didn't want to do that. It's really, really easy to sort of navigate your way around the software. I'm going to be looking mostly at how the software works here. Sorry, how this integrates with the software rather than the stuff on board. We've covered that a lot on the other devices, but this is really how it's integrated with the DAW. So to start with, we can sort of look at the channel rack. This is what the pads are doing. We can demo each sound that we've got loaded in FL Studio. So, and we'll get back to that last one as well. And here are a bunch of different presets for them as well. So that's what the pads are doing to begin with here. We can then dive in to the instruments more specifically and control it. So like in the case of this FPC plugin at the end here, these pads are now controlling individual drum sounds. And again, big caveat. I'm not much of a finger drummer, but yes, we've got like a built-in drum machines to FL Studio that this integrates really nicely with. Your sequencer controls from the pads as well. This is really, really fun way to work with FL from a MIDI controller. But before we go on to that, just to mention as well, you've got the scale chord, the user chord, and the custom modes that we saw earlier on the launch kit as well. So they've been carried over. Across the top, it's similar to Ableton and the Launchpad that we saw. These pots can be controlling the volume, the pan, channel volume and pan, which is slightly different in FL. The users will know, and then plug-in control as well from these pots as well, so we can start getting really interesting sounds out of the native plugins that come from FL. I'm going to go back to the channel rack and just kind of show you how we start building a track from scratch on this. So first off, we use these transport controls and turn on the click or the metronome, and then just play something in. If we hit record. Oh no. Well, now there was a crafty slip up there, because now I can demo this undo button, which is very useful sometimes. Let's try that again. That's just like how you can start recording stuff in from the channel rack real quick there. We can also quantize things from this as well. So if the playing was a bit off there, I could select specifically like the hi-hat, for example, and then press the quantize button, move things into spot a little bit. I'm going to undo that because I actually kind of preferred the slight stagger we had, but just for demonstration purposes, there you go. Then we can start recording like this over the top as well. So yeah. Oh, let's put the record back on. And so we can start like recording stuff in. If we wanted to add in like more than just those 4 steps as well, it's really easy to. We just go to the sequencer view here and add in another page. Let's look at the sequencer now. Actually, we can choose the kick sound, go back over to the sequencer, and just throw that in. So now, similar to what we saw on the launch pad, we've got these steps that will appear. Those notes will be triggered when the playhead crosses them. So, all right, we'll go down to the snare, add those in. Now in the hi-hat. So we can start like programming the sequencer real quick. And again, we're not using a mouse and keyboard at all here, which is really fun. Just really quickly as well, because I'm very aware we're running over. Yeah, I'm just about to run over here. So I mean, it's really, really tight integration with loads of the FL stuff. We've also got a really nice note repeat feature here as well. I'm just going to turn that on so you can hear that in action and go back to the channel rack. So that's just holding it, and it will still continue to read the velocity you're holding at, and just do a note repeat. So we can change the rate of that as well. So and then we can record that in. That's one we'd want to record at quantize. There you go. Oh, I've accidentally added another page from the looks of it. I'll undo that. Okay. So, I mean, that's just a real whistle-stop tour. I think just one other really important thing to mention with that is this button over here changes our presets as well. So we're currently working with, I think it's the FL's answer to the DX7. I think it's just called FL DX or something. And we can just page through the presets for that sound really easily from this button. Right. Okay. We just hit 8, so I'm just gonna fast forward a little bit here and jump back to Rob and see if we can, if we've got any questions we can get through there. If there's any, anything we've missed there that people are interested in.
Nice one, Alex. That was amazing. A lot
Thanks.
covered. So a bit to digest there. So there's a few questions we'll get through. And of course, guys. After the webinar, if there's anything you thought, I wish I asked that, but I didn't get a chance, or we didn't get around to answer your question, please drop us an email at sales@studiospares.com, and we'll make sure we get them to Alex, and hopefully be able to answer them. But yeah, a lot to take in there. So thank you very much for sort of covering as much ground as possible. And there's a bit of a first on the webinar that we've had a bit of a demo as well. So yeah, thank you very much for that. That was really great. So I'll start with a couple about the Launchpad, actually. So I have a Launchpad Pro Mark 1. Are there any significant differences between it and the Mark II version? And if so, is there a software upgrade available to add any of the new features to the Mark 1?
Oh yeah, so miles apart. I think it's been a while since I had my hands on a Mark One. I would point to the main differences that I can remember being. I mean, in terms of the hardware, let me just go back to my face here. But in terms of the hardware, it's big changes in velocity sensitivity and range of the LEDs as well. I think the one just had a different, just had like a very limited color set as well. So yeah, in terms of the hardware, tons of upgrades there. In terms of the software side of things, yeah, I mean, it's we're on the Mark III now, so I can't remember all of the differences, but I think certain like lot of ease of life things like the fader speeds, like depending on velocity, all that kind of stuff. I don't think we had an awful lot of custom mode support, at least to the degree of ease that we've got with components now. And certainly didn't have sort of MIDI jack outputs on them as well, which is really fun if you're controlling hardware. In terms of firmware updates for the 1 to bring it up to speed with the 3, there's nothing on. Yeah, there's nothing on the horizon for that. I think because of hardware differences, we can't really bring that up to the same speed. But I think we did do quite a fair few firmware updates for the Mark 1, which will still be able to get your hands on probably from the downloads page. But yeah, Mark 1 was great fun though. Yeah, a bit of history with the Launchpad, which we didn't get into, but
cool.
Yeah.
Well, if you do need to upgrade, of course, we know just the place for you to do so. But if there's a specific thing or a specific feature you want to know about, drop us an email and we'll do some digging for you and let you know. So on that, I'm going to kind of combine two questions here about sort of MIDI assigning. So the first question was, are the faders and pots on the Novation Launch Control XL MIDI assignable? Example, assigning a fader to CC11 or expression for CC1 for dynamics rather than using them for channel volume. Another question we had is about whether you can assign these in different applications, such as triggering cameras in OBS or, from a non-music production perspective.
Yeah, so the first question that was about launch control and whether you can change what the MIDI output of the launch control is.
Yeah, so the assignment, right? Yeah.
And is that specific about launch control, not launch pad or key?
We've got launch control here.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, actually, it's the same answer, I suppose. The launch control, launch pad and the launch key to an extent as well. It's completely reassignable in terms of what MIDI you want it to put out. That's a big function. That's a big plus of the launch control. You've got pots on there, and then you just decide what MIDI that pot is going to output, what range is going to output. If I remember rightly, the like polarity of it as well, that kind of thing. Totally. Yeah, launch control is vastly customizable in terms of what MIDI outputs. Remind me the second part of that question as well.
So about assigning the launch pad or launch key for other MIDI uses, such as like triggering cameras or other sorts of things, or operating in OBS as like a less of a music production controller.
Yes. Yeah. So this button here, this ... the ellipsis, that actually turns this into a D-pad. So that's left, right, up, and down, and enter, I believe. Yeah, that's an enter. So those can be if you're using like OBS for like video production, you can use those as hotkeys. All sorts of different things. Specifically for that reason, because we're aware. Yeah, that's a lot of a use case for them.
Cool.
I think.
Can you use the launch key alongside standalone hardware and synths?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So at the beginning there, we had the launch pad. We could do the same with the launch key. The launch pad was sending out MIDI from its MIDI DIN socket to a base station just outside, out of view. Yeah, it's the same for the launch key as well. Yeah, you've got full-sized MIDI DIN socket on the back, full-size MIDI DIN socket on the back. So yeah, it's as simple as just plug the output of that into whatever hardware you're using. That's what I use it for mostly. I'm predominant. It's really really good fun, and obviously you can switch between a few different like MIDI channels and a bunch of different custom modes. So this is really important. The different custom modes for the pads and the pots could be, there's like 4 on each like launch on a launch key. So you could have like a custom mode for your pots, which are assigned to one hardware synth, custom mode for your pots, which is assigned to the other, and then easily flick between them. So from the same seat with the same controller, 1 minute you're controlling the all the controls on like a base station, for example, and then the next minute it could be like like a peak or like a microcork or whatever it is you're using.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. So what's this one? Here we go. Sorry, bear with me a second. So Ableton may be your preference. Can you use the launch, I presume they mean the launch key here, with other DAWs such as even Reaper or Audacity? So I guess we're looking at sort of, more the sort of entry-level side of things, and, I guess not necessarily everyone wants to use Ableton or has access to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Reaper for sure. Big love for Reaper. Whoever's using that. We've got scripts written in with Reaper, and we've worked with them the people at Reaper. So it's baked in. You just connect it and go. Audacity. Audacity doesn't have like native control, so it's not like as simple as plug it in and it'll like your volume control will start controlling the volume in Audacity. And I would hesitate to assume, but I haven't actually tried this. But I will answer it this way: if Audacity permits you to MIDI map, meaning you sort of use MIDI control of its volume and pan controls, then it's absolutely possible to set up the launch key to control Audacity. Yes. Also worth mentioning as well, launch keys they get Ableton Live Lite included with them. Same for Ableton. Sorry, for launch pads. If you're interested in using Ableton, they're bundled. This Live Lite is bundled free with the launch pad and the launch key, and as I mentioned, with the FL key, you got FL Studio bundled with that as well. But we support a wide range of DAWs. You can find a full list online. But Reaper for sure, Audacity. Not natively, but it's very likely, I think. A lot of time for Audacity as well. Great DAW.
Okay, I'm getting the signal from my sales manager that we need to wrap things up, but I'll just squeeze in a couple. Can I use the MIDI launch key for GarageBand as well?
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
And just hammer through these. Here's one a little bit more about actually the creative side of it. Who would you recommend listening to or watching for somebody looking to get into this area of production? So I guess that's really sort of maybe interesting launchpad users.
Interesting launchpad users. Drawing a blank on launchpad users for FL Studio and FL Key. There's a guy called Get in the Mix who's really really good on YouTube that I've watched. The Audio Journey.
Okay.
Actually, the Audio Journey really really good for launch pads as well. Yeah, check them out.
Cool. Okay, one more question, which we've covered a little bit. So, does the MIDI work outside of Ableton? So, if you could just maybe just go back into that one a little bit.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. MIDI. Yep. MIDI is a language basically, and it's the language that musical devices, electronic devices, use to speak to each other. So it's absolutely not constricted to Ableton. It was invented in the 70s, it's just like French or Italian, I guess, in a weird way. It's just a concept, and anything can adopt it, so long as the device that you're controlling understands it, and that the device that is the controller outputs it. Then MIDI. That's That's MIDI. It's the language.
Yeah.
Sorry, I hope that's not too abstract.
No, just abstract enough, I think. No, Alex, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. And guys, yeah, if you've got any questions we didn't get to, I deeply apologise, but make sure we'll try to get in touch with you. And if we don't, just make sure you contact us on sales@studiospares.com, and we'll try to get the answers for you. So this is the moment some of you, I'm sure, have been waiting for, which is the giveaway. We love giving stuff away for free, and I'm sure you love getting it. So this webinar, we are giving away, the kind guys at Novation have donated us a Launch Key 37 for one lucky winner. So Mike, our sales manager, is just drawing the winner now from everyone that's still here. So just 1 minute as he sends that through. Okay. And our winner for tonight is Sean Dickman. So Sean, please just drop us a little email. We've got your details, but we'll be in touch. Send us your postal address and we'll get that over to you. But yeah, congratulations. And a little reminder, we're giving away 20% off all Trojan products, and that's stands, desks, and all sorts. So yeah, that's with the code Trojan20, which I'll just put back in the chat now. And guys, thank you so much for tuning in. It's a pleasure for doing these again. And Alex, it was absolutely our pleasure having you on tonight.
Brilliant. Cheers, Rob. Thanks so much. Yeah, it's really fun. Yeah, anytime.
And guys, if there's anything you would like to hear in the next webinar, we've got a few planned, but do get in touch. We're going to be sending you all an email tomorrow, and it's going to have a little questions box in there. So if whatever you want to see on the next webinar, just drop a little comment in there. Yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you all next time on the Talk Back live webinar.